First contact revelation. The Martian dust storm had finally settled after 3 days of howling winds, leaving a fresh layer of rust-colored powder across the excavation site. Dr. Ilara Nash adjusted her helmet's filtration system as she stepped out of the research dome, her boots leaving deep imprints in the newly settled dust. 27 months on Mars, and the red planet still found ways to delay her work. "Sensors are back online, Doctor," called Technician Wei through the comm system. "Ground-penetrating radar is detecting something unusual about 200 meters east of the main excavation." Ilara felt a familiar flutter of excitement. After 2 years of finding nothing but rocks and disappointment, the Ares 9 expedition needed a breakthrough. Define unusual way. Perfect geometric patterns. 90-degree angles. Material composition unlike anything in our database. Whatever this is, it wasn't formed naturally. Within an hour, the entire 12-person research team had gathered at the coordinates. Captain Rodriguez, their military liaison, established a perimeter while Dr. Capri, their geophysicist, calibrated the drilling equipment. This could be it, Ilara whispered to herself as she reviewed the subsurface scans. The structure extended at least 50 meters below the surface, with chambers and corridors in a configuration that screamed intelligent design. We're not just looking at ancient Martian microbes. This is architecture. The excavation proceeded cautiously. NASA and the United Earth Science Directorate had strict protocols for potential first contact scenarios, even when dealing with long-dead civilizations. 3 days of careful digging revealed an entrance, a doorway of perfect proportions, covered in symbols that resembled no known language. "It's responding to our presence," Dr. Yasmin Okafor, the team's linguist, observed as subtle lights activated along the edges of the doorway. "Look, the patterns are shifting." Ilara approached the entrance, her heart pounding against her ribs. The material appears to be some kind of metallic crystalline hybrid. It shouldn't be able to power itself after what must be thousands, maybe millions of years. When her gloved hand made contact with the surface, the impossible happened. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a corridor illuminated by a gentle blue glow emanating from the walls themselves. "We've got atmosphere inside," reported Wei, checking his instruments. "Oxygen, nitrogen, trace gases, it's breathable. Temperature is 21 degrees Celsius. How is that possible?" Captain Rodriguez raised her hand. "Nobody removes helmets until we've conducted full biological screenings. This facility could have been sealed with pathogens inside." The team advanced cautiously through corridors that seemed designed for beings of human proportion. After 20 minutes of exploration, they discovered the central chamber, a vast spherical room dominated by a floating crystalline structure that pulsed with inner light. "Look at these consoles," Dr. Catry whispered, examining what appeared to be control interfaces. "They're designed for hands like ours." Ilara approached the central crystal, mesmerized by its shifting colors. "These markings around the base, they're different from the door symbols. More mathematical." As she studied the markings, the crystal's pulsing intensified. The team watched in astonishment as holographic displays activated around the chamber, projecting star maps and what appeared to be historical records. Images of worlds being transformed, species evolving, and massive space battles spanning galaxies. "It's responding to your presence, Ilara," Yasmin observed. "Move closer to the crystal." Despite Captain Rodriguez's protests, Ilara stepped toward the pulsing crystal. When she was within arm's reach, a beam of light shot from the crystal's core, scanning her from head to toe. "Genetic verification complete," announced a synthesized voice in perfect English. "Human template confirmed. Access granted to caretaker protocol archives." The room erupted with displays showing DNA strands, planetary systems, and what appeared to be evolutionary timelines. "How is it speaking English?" we demanded, his voice trembling. "It isn't," Yasmin replied, her eyes wide with realization. "It's speaking directly to our minds. We're each hearing it in our native language." The synthesized voice continued. Welcome, inheritors. This facility was established 2.7 million Earth years ago by the predecessor alliance to monitor the development of Project Genesis, the seeding and guided evolution of your species. Ilara felt her knees weaken. Are you saying humans were created? Engineered would be more precise, the voice responded. Your species was designed as part of the final contingency against the Void Dominion. When the predecessors faced extinction, they distributed their knowledge and weaponry across multiple species throughout the galaxy. Humans were designed to be compatible with predecessor technology in ways the Dominion could never be. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. You're telling us we're weapons. Weapon carriers, the voice corrected. Your neural patterns and genetic code contain dormant sequences that, when activated, allow operation of predecessor defensive systems. This was necessary to prevent the Dominion from claiming our technology. Ilara struggled to process the implications, but we evolved on Earth, not Mars. There's fossil evidence of our evolutionary path. Earth was seeded with genetic material designed to evolve into your species. This facility monitored the process and would have activated upon detection of sufficient technological advancement. Your arrival has manually triggered the protocol. Before anyone could ask more questions, an alarm blared throughout the facility. The crystalline structure flashed red, and new displays appeared showing what looked like spacecraft entering Mars orbit. Alert. Draxian vessels detected. Identification. Remnant forces of the Void Dominion. Scanning weapons signatures. Hostile intent confirmed. Estimated time to surface deployment. 17 minutes. Draxian. What the hell is a Draxian? Rodriguez demanded, immediately shifting to defensive mode. The holographic display changed to show a bipedal species with iridescent scales, elongated limbs, and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The Draxians were client species of the Void Dominion. They have been searching for predecessor technology for millennia. Your excavation activities were detected by their long-range sensors. We checked his communication device. Captain, I can't reach the base. All channels are being jammed. Ilara turned to the crystal. Can this facility defend itself? Defend us. Defensive capabilities are minimal after millions of years of dormancy. This is primarily a research and monitoring station. However, the voice paused. I can initiate data transfer to a suitable human receptor. The information package contains activation sequences for the dormant predecessor technology within your species. What does that mean exactly? Ilara asked. It means one of you must become a temporary data vessel. The chosen human will carry critical information that can activate humanity's defensive capabilities against the coming threat. Captain Rodriguez shook her head. This is beyond our mission parameters. We need to evacuate now, get back to the main base, and call for help. Ilara stepped forward. How do we do this data transfer? Direct neural interface with the primary crystal. Warning: the process is not without risk. Neural overload is possible. Ilara, don't even think about it. Rodriguez warned. That's an order. But Ilara had already made her decision. We have 13 minutes before hostile aliens reach us. If what this entity is saying is true, we need this information. Without waiting for further arguments, she removed her helmet and approached the crystal. As her bare hand touched its surface, energy coursed through her body. Images flooded her mind. Star charts, genetic codes, activation sequences, weapon schematics, and histories of a war that had raged across thousands of star systems. When she collapsed, Wei and Caftri caught her before she hit the floor. We need to move, Rodriguez ordered, helping them carry the unconscious Senorcheologist. Back to the rovers. Now. They barely made it to the surface when the first Draxian landing craft breached the atmosphere, sleek vessels that glowed with an ominous purple energy. As the team loaded into their rovers and sped toward the main base, Ilara regained consciousness, her eyes wide with knowledge that no human had ever possessed. They're after the activation codes, she whispered, clutching her head. If they learn how to interface with predecessor technology, they'll be unstoppable. The journey back to the main Mars base was a desperate race against time. 2 Draxian pursuit craft discovered them halfway there, energy weapons carving glowing trenches in the Martian soil around their vehicles. "We need to split up," Rodriguez decided. "Way, take Dr. Nash and Rover 2 and head for the emergency shuttle. The rest of us will draw their attention toward the main base." "Captain, that's suicide," Ilara protested. "That's an order, Doctor. Whatever's in your head now is apparently worth dying for. Make sure it gets to Earth." The rovers separated at the next ridge. Ilara watched through the rear viewport as her colleagues led the Draxian ships toward the main base, sacrificing themselves to ensure her escape. 6 hours later, the emergency shuttle broke Mars orbit, its stealth systems engaged. In the small medical bay, Ilara struggled to organize the vast knowledge now contained within her mind. Earth needed to prepare. The arrival of the Draxians meant that humanity's carefully engineered purpose was about to be realized. "They made us as weapons," she whispered to Wei as he administered a sedative to help with her neural pain. "But they also made us human. Whatever happens next, we get to decide how to use the power they gave us." As the shuttle accelerated toward Earth, Ilara focused on the activation sequence now burned into her memory, the key to unlocking humanity's true potential and their only hope against what was coming. The awakening protocol. Absolutely not. General Harrington slammed his fist on the conference table. "You're asking us to believe that humanity was engineered by aliens millions of years ago as biological weapons, based on the word of a Martian AI, and information downloaded directly into your brain." 3 weeks had passed since the Draxian attack on Mars. The emergency shuttle carrying Dr. Ilara Nash and technician Wei had barely made it back to Earth, its engines pushed beyond safe operating parameters to outrun the alien vessels that had appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. In an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, representatives from major world governments had gathered to hear Ilara's incredible report. The loss of the Mars research team and the destruction of the Ares 9 base had been confirmed by satellite imagery, leaving Ilara and Wei as the only survivors. "I understand your skepticism, General," Ilara replied, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "But the evidence is undeniable." She gestured to the display screen showing Draxian warships now positioned just beyond lunar orbit. "Those ships aren't a hallucination, and the data I've brought back can be verified." Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, head of the United Earth Science Directorate, nodded in agreement. "We've analyzed the genetic sequences Dr. Nash has provided. There are indeed sections of non-coding DNA in the human genome that match these patterns exactly. We previously classified them as junk DNA with no apparent function. And you believe these are, what? Alien weapon codes?" asked the Chinese representative, her expression skeptical. "Not exactly weapons," Ilara corrected. "More like keys. The predecessors built technology that only responds to specific neural and genetic patterns they engineered into humanity. According to the data I received, these sequences can be activated through a specific procedure." Director Emma Chen of Global Defense spoke up. "And what happens when these sequences are activated? Do humans turn into living weapons?" Ilara shook her head. "Not in the destructive sense you're imagining. The activation enhances specific neural pathways, allowing humans to interface with predecessor technology. It also triggers certain dormant abilities, increased neural processing, heightened sensory perception, accelerated healing, and in some cases, limited bioenergetic manipulation." "You're describing superpowers," General Harrington scoffed. "I'm describing evolutionary advantages that were deliberately suppressed until needed," Ilara countered. "The predecessors didn't want to create a species that would destroy itself before reaching maturity. The abilities were designed to activate only when humanity faced the specific threat they were engineered to counter." The room fell silent as satellite footage appeared on the main screen. The Draxian fleet had grown to 27 ships, with more arriving daily. "We have limited options," Director Chen finally said. "Our most advanced weapons wouldn't even scratch their hulls based on the readings we're getting. If Dr. Nash's information offers any possibility of defense, we need to consider it." After hours of debate, the coalition reached a decision. A specialized facility would be established to test the activation protocol on volunteer soldiers and scientists. Ilara would work with a team of geneticists and neurologists to implement the procedure under strict containment protocols. Within days, the first tests began. Lieutenant Marcus Rivera, a veteran combat pilot, was the first volunteer to undergo the activation sequence. He was placed in a specially designed chamber as Ilara directed the technical team through the precise stimulation patterns required to activate the dormant genetic sequences. When Rivera emerged from the procedure, the changes were subtle but undeniable. His reflexes tested at 3 times normal human capacity. His brain activity showed patterns never before recorded in human subjects. Most remarkably, when placed near recovered fragments of what appeared to be predecessor technology, the devices responded to his presence, activating functions that had remained dormant under all previous testing. "It worked," Ilara whispered, reviewing the data. "But this is just the beginning." Over the next 2 weeks, 200 volunteers underwent the activation process. Each displayed unique manifestations of enhanced abilities. Some developed extraordinary computational skills, others showed incredible physical enhancements, and a few demonstrated limited energy manipulation capabilities. Meanwhile, the Draxian fleet continued to grow. Communication attempts had failed, and smaller scout ships had begun making incursions into Earth's atmosphere, appearing briefly before retreating to the main fleet. "They're looking for something," Ilara explained during an emergency council meeting. "According to the predecessor database, Earth contains multiple hidden caches of their technology. The biggest is buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. If the Draxians find it before we can secure it, they'll gain weapons capable of destroying the planet." Director Chen nodded grimly. "Our activated soldiers are ready. We formed them into specialized strike teams, but we still don't have a way to engage the Draxian fleet directly." "Actually, we might," Dr. Kapoor interjected, bringing up schematics on the main display. "We've been analyzing the predecessor technology fragments recovered from previous archaeological sites. With Lieutenant Rivera's help, we've managed to activate what appears to be a communication device. It's broadcasting a signal to a location in the Antarctic ice sheet." 3 days later, an international expedition uncovered what the predecessors had left behind. A massive facility buried 2 kilometers beneath the ice, containing ships, weapons, and defense systems designed specifically for human operators. When the first wave of Draxian landing forces descended on major cities worldwide, humanity was ready. The activated soldiers demonstrated abilities that seemed impossible, redirecting energy weapons, interfacing directly with recovered predecessor technology, and coordinating with a level of battlefield awareness that bordered on precognition. In Antarctica, Ilara watched as Lieutenant Rivera and a team of activated pilots entered the recovered predecessor vessels. The ships responded to their neural patterns, systems activating and interfaces adapting to human control configurations. "This is Fireteam Alpha." Rivera's voice came through the communication system. "All systems operational. These ships practically fly themselves. It's like they know what we want to do before we do it." "That's exactly how they're designed to work," Ilara responded. "The neural interface reads your intentions and translates them into ship functions. You're not just flying these vessels. You're becoming part of them." As the predecessor ships launched from their ancient hangar, Ilara turned to Wei, who had stayed by her side throughout the crisis. "The predecessors didn't just make us as weapons," she said quietly. "They made us their inheritors. Everything they were, everything they knew. It's all encoded in us, waiting to be awakened." The battle for Earth lasted less than 6 hours. The predecessor vessels, piloted by activated humans, demonstrated technological superiority that the Draxians clearly hadn't anticipated. When the flagship of the Draxian fleet attempted to retreat, Rivera's squadron intercepted it, forcing a surrender. In the aftermath, as Earth's governments began the process of integrating the recovered predecessor technology, Ilara found herself standing before the captured Draxian commander, a tall, reptilian being with iridescent scales that shifted color with its emotions. "You were supposed to be extinct," the commander hissed in a voice translated by predecessor technology. "The Inheritor Protocol was a myth, a failed experiment." "Not failed," Ilara replied. "Just patient. The predecessors understood something your people never did. True power doesn't need to announce itself until necessary." "You don't understand what you've done," the Draxian continued. "By activating yourselves, you've sent a signal across the galaxy. Others will come, both allies and enemies of the predecessors. Your world will become a battlefield." Ilara nodded solemnly. "We know. The information the predecessors left behind prepared us for that possibility. But we're not just their weapons or their inheritors. We're something they couldn't have predicted. We're human. We'll face whatever comes on our own terms." As the Draxian was led away, Ilara looked up at the night sky, suddenly aware of how vast the galaxy truly was, and how many secrets it still held. Humanity had awakened to its true purpose and potential, but their journey was just beginning. In research facilities around the world, more humans underwent the activation protocol daily, each manifesting unique expressions of their awakened genetic heritage. Earth's recovered predecessor technology was being studied and integrated into global defense systems, and deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, exploration teams had begun cataloging the largest cache of predecessor artifacts yet discovered. "What do you think happens next?" Wei asked, joining Ilara as she watched the stars. She smiled, feeling the knowledge the predecessors had placed in her mind expanding with each passing day. "We do what humans have always done: adapt, explore, and forge our own path. The predecessors gave us the tools, but the future we build with them will be entirely our own." As if in response, a faint signal appeared on nearby monitors, a transmission from deep space, using frequencies that matched predecessor communication protocols. New players were entering the game, and humanity, newly awakened to its cosmic inheritance, stood ready to meet them.